what he is and what he's not anymore. Rigondeaux was one of the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters, probably in my top 5 or 4 list at one time. I called his fights in Sydney when I did the Olympics for NBC. He was the best amateur I ever seen live in person. I'll say it again. Best amateur. And that's a hell of a statement. I've seen some really good ones.
Yeah.
He was the best I ever seen. Southpaw, wasted nothing, could counterpunch, was calm. It was like the great Stuart Scott, the great late Stuart Scott, who worked in the company I work at, ESPN. He was a great broadcaster, and he was taken away too young from us. Like he used to say, he was as cool as the other side of the pillow, baby. I mean, he was calm. He saw everything, Rigondeaux. He was tremendous. He won 2 gold medals in the Olympics, just like Lomachenko did. And again, it was the 2000 and 2004. I did both Olympics. It was Sydney, and then it was Athens. This guy had great reflexes. He was one of the top pound-for-pound guys. I think I had him number 4 or something at one point. He was the best. I thought he was the best counterpuncher in the business, if not the best, right up there in the best. I thought he was one of the best body punchers in the business. He was a good puncher. He was a great defensive fighter. He had great reflexes. He just make you miss just a little bit. Pop, pop. The one thing was that always hurt him, that always seemed to stymie what you wanted to see, that didn't allow that to come out, was he wasn't active enough. And part of it was because he was so good. People didn't want to fight him. They couldn't look good against him. He made you look good. And he didn't make exciting fights. He did not make exciting. He was just efficient. He was just good at what he did. If you were going to the ballpark, if you were a guy prone to go to baseball games only to see balls travel over the fence, you didn't like him. But if you were going to the ballpark to see great pitching, people that changed the speed on a pitch, that were able to hit the corners, were able to, change to 1 minute throw it 95, the next minute throw it 82, and just make the bat fall out of the guy's hands. If you like that, you love Rigondeaux, because he was all that.
Yeah.
He was all that. And he's not that anymore. See, that's what I see. That's what my job is to say, I think, to the people and to talk to you and say, do you agree? But that I saw a guy now that, like the great late Mickey Duff would say, he was harder to miss than he was to hit.
Yeah.
I mean, he was too easy to hit. He didn't have those instincts anymore. He didn't have those reflexes anymore where he just made you miss. That great defense where he counterpunched. Now he was getting hit, and there he is in the Olympics. I call for it, and Robbie puts it there. And I'm assuming that was the one. Yeah, no, I know he's in blue. He's the southpaw. But I'm assuming that's the one in Sydney. And his first gold medal, because he won the gold in Sydney and then in Athens. So I'm assuming this is Sydney. But this is what I saw. I thought he was the best amateur I had ever seen. He was a guy that didn't waste anything. He was a guy that saw everything. He was a guy that was his accuracy was there. He was a guy that your grandparents, your grandmother would have loved, because he'd sit at a table with you and he wouldn't waste anything.
Yeah.
He ate the spinach. He ate the carrots. He didn't waste anything. He didn't waste nothing in that ring. Anything he threw, he only threw it if he knew he was in position to land it. He wasn't just chucking punches where the wind was picking him. And he was all of that. And the contrast was palatable. When I saw him, I was like, this ain't the same guy. He got old.
Yeah.
Everything was gone. He was a shot fighter.
Yep.
The only thing remaining was his character to show guts and to show heart and to show pride that, he wasn't going to succumb to a guy that he was supposed to beat.
Yep.
And quite frankly, taking nothing away from his opponent. But you go back some years, he doesn't last. His opponent doesn't last. What was his opponent's name?
Rigondeaux was fighting Julio Ceja.
Ceja, take nothing away from him. Game guy, was winning that fight, was taking advantage of his opportunity. But you go back to a younger Rigondeaux, Ceja doesn't last 2-3 rounds with him. I mean, like the old timers would say, you know, he can't carry his shoes.
Yeah.
You know, and to see this Rigondeaux, this guy that was slow, this guy that was there to be hit, this guy that had none of that brilliance that I just described, it was like, why is he still fighting? You know, and I know the answer, to still make money and because he can get away with it. And this is another, I don't know if this is the same Olympics, but there he is again. So accurate with that left hand, with the power. You know, he had power, he had technique, he had reflexes, he had timing. He could adjust to anything. He could use his legs, but he could also walk you down. He could also stand in front of you and do it like Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker, another great one, did, by making you miss right in front, where you couldn't hit him in the backside with a handful of buckshot. You know, and to see this guy with Ceja, where he was reduced to rumbles, he was reduced to just not even a shadow of what he was. That's what struck me before we got to where we got.
Yeah, I agree.
But it also reminded me that the one thing that stays with a fighter, when their great skills get eroded by time, the one thing that doesn't leave, unfortunately, George Foreman taught me that lesson. Power. Power's still there. The speed leaves, the timing leaves, the elusiveness leaves, but the legs leave, but not the power. And that power saved that fight for him and prolonged his career by being there when he had the opportunity that was given to him. But what the referee did was, again, I thought it was either incompetence, unjust. We'll look at it. I thought that Ceja deserved better. After fighting, he's ahead in the fight. You could even say he was beating up Rigondeaux. And he's going to win this fight if he doesn't get caught. That's a big if. I get it. In the 8th round, I believe it was the 8th round where he gets caught.
Yep.
And listen, Ceja gave him the opportunity. Ceja threw an unfathomable slow right hand. Maybe he got hurt in the body that nobody picked up. The commentators didn't pick up. Just a second before that slowed him down, that caused him to throw a right hand that slow. But he threw a reckless, slow right hand. And against the southpaw Rigondeaux, he left the door open for a left-hand counter to come over.